All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today we're doing a deep dive. We're going to get inside the minds of the absolute best players to figure out the secrets to building the most dominant survivor teams for Identity V's Season 41.
So, what's the secret to winning this season? Look, it's not just about how good you are at kiting or having one meta character on your team. No, the real key to victory, it's all about building an unbeatable team, a comp that just works like a well-oiled machine. So, let's break down exactly how you can do that.
Okay, here's what we've got on deck. We're going to kick things off with the must-pick characters for this season. Then, I'm going to introduce a core strategic idea that, trust me, will totally change how you look at your matches. From there, we'll jump into the top-tier team comps, and we'll finish up with the one big idea, the main principle that's going to guide all your team building from here on out.
Right. So before we can even start talking about building a winning team, we gotta know who our star players are. So let's take a look at the characters who are absolutely defining the meta this season.
Okay, so these are the core roles you really need to be thinking about this season. And you can see it right there, that standard rescue category. It is absolutely stacked with some seriously powerful characters. You know, with recent buffs to survivors like Patient, this role has just become so flexible and so strong. It gives you way more options than we've had in a long time.
So if you're ever just staring at the character screen and you're not sure who to pick, here's a pro tip. Start with Gravekeeper. He's still the #1 debuff rescuer, just perfect for handling those super high-pressure situations. I mean, his ability to just tunnel underground, that makes him so reliable against hunters who love to camp the chair. He's a safe, solid pick for pretty much any team you can think of.
All right, next up we have Puppeteer. And listen, the top players are calling her a monster this season, and for good reason. Her rescues are basically a sure thing, and this is the huge part. She has 0 decoding penalty. So while she's just waiting to make a save, she's pushing those ciphers just as fast as anyone else. That puts an incredible amount of pressure on the hunter, like all the time.
And to finish off this rock-solid core trio, we've got Engineer. He's another top-tier rescuer who, just like Puppeteer, keeps that decoding speed way up. Seriously, the experts all agree. A team built around these three, Gravekeeper, Puppeteer, and Engineer, is just so unbelievably stable. You get safety, you get speed, and you get guaranteed saves. What more could you ask for as a starting point? Okay, so we've got our key players. Now let's talk strategy. How do survivors actually win? Well, it all comes down to buying time. And the best way to think about this, imagine every match is a card game and you've been dealt a hand with 4 very specific, very strategic cards to play. And here they are. This is the strategy in a nutshell. First, you play the first chase card to buy time. Then you play your first rescue card using Tide Turner. You know, that's that key talent that gives the rescued person a shield so they can actually get away. Then you play your second rescue card, again with Tide Turner. But here's the kicker. That 4th card, Late Game Harassment, that's the one that often pushes you over the finish line. This is exactly why every single top-tier comp has a harasser. If you don't have one, you're literally just throwing away one of your best cards. So let's look at our first major build and see how this whole 4 cards idea plays out. This one's called the 3-Tide Fortress, and it's a brilliant counter to a really common, really annoying hunter strategy. So here's the problem with a normal 2-rescuer team, right? The hunter could just target one of your Tide Turner carriers first, and boom, your whole rescue plan just goes up in smoke. But the 3-Tide Fortress, it just completely erases that weakness. No matter who the hunter chases, you are always guaranteed to have a Tide Turner rescue ready to go. It just creates this amazing stability for the mid and late game. So what's the catch? Well, the trade-off is pretty straightforward. You might give up a little bit of that early game kiting potential, but what you get in return is an almost foolproof path to the endgame. You know, if a hunter tries to get clever and switch targets, well, guess what? They just run into another survivor with Tide Turner. It becomes a total lose-lose situation for them. Okay, so the Fortress is all about playing it safe. But don't sleep on the classic 2-Tide comp, because it's still incredibly powerful. But here's the thing. It hasn't stayed the same. It's evolved into something that's, well, it's a real game changer.
You see, the old school strategy was always about protecting your 2 rescuers. You'd pick a free slot character, who's basically hunter bait, someone they just have to chase. That would leave your Tide Turner carriers free to do their thing. But that's the old way. A new wave is taking over.
Yeah, a new version of this comp has popped up, and the top players, they're calling it a monster. And it's because of its raw, insane power and speed.
So this is the first step in that evolution. You run 2 rescuers who are also fast decoders. We're talking Puppeteer and Engineer. And the result? You get your full rescue potential, but with 0 decoding debuffs. That means your cipher speed is just insanely fast. And on smaller maps especially, you can totally overwhelm the hunter. It puts them on this terrifyingly short clock.
And this all leads to what is maybe the most dominant strategy in the game right now. Imagine this. You run a team with 3 standard speed rescuers. Think Engineer, Puppeteer, and Patient. Now, if you're the hunter, who do you chase? Who's the weak link? There isn't one. If you chase any of them, the other 2 are just decoding at full speed. It's a complete strategic nightmare for the hunter. There's just no good answer.
So, okay. We've looked at all these powerful teams from the super safe Fortress to the lightning-fast triple rescue comp. What's the one thing, the single most important takeaway that you need to remember from all this?
And here it is. The big secret isn't about just copying a team you saw online. It's about understanding the function, the job that each survivor performs. The best players, they don't get locked into specific characters. They think, what role do I need filled? And then they pick the best survivor for that job.
So let's recap everything real quick. Start your build with that strong core: Gravekeeper, Puppeteer, Engineer. Always remember you've got 4 cards to play, which means a harasser is essential. Then decide if you want the safety of the 3-tide Fortress or the overwhelming speed of the new fast decode comps. But above all, build a team where nobody is just sitting around. Everyone needs a clear, active role.
And that's it for our breakdown. You now have the blueprints the top players are using to dominate in Season 41. So the only question left is, which team are you going to build?